Hello, everybody. So, just a game mode idea that popped into my head recently, and I felt the need to write it down. So just to get straight into it, it's a pretty simple idea, but it does seem a little complex when I go through it, but it is pretty simple. So, essentially, there's two teams, Team 1 and Team 2, and there is a main tower or orb or whatever, we can call it, that the objective is you need to destroy this in order for, say, Team 2 to win, and then the opposite for Team 1. And here's the base. So there's basically two bases, and you need to attack the enemy base. Now, what makes it a little bit more complex and interesting is on the periphery or outside of these bases, there are three orbs on each side. Okay? And these orbs, actually, this one a little bit higher up. What makes these orbs interesting is in the first one, it'll be the gauntlet orb, and then item, and then ruin. And same thing at the bottom. So the idea here is when you first start out in the match, all of your loot for both teams is within the base, but the only thing that's accessible currently is uncommon gear. So everything is green. You start out in your base with everything green, and then the match begins. This is obviously will be a lot more space in between here. They're not going to be that close to each other. But basically, everyone starts out with green loot, and then you go out into the fight. So the thing that's more tactical about this game mode, and the whole objective is to get to these orbs that on your opponent's side and to destroy them. So the idea here is that it's a 9v9, and what you're essentially trying to do is destroy these orbs, and each one, without making it too complex, they just have three rings around it, okay? You destroy the first ring of this orb, and it'll have a certain amount of HP to it. You unlock a higher level gear for what? For Gauntlet, because that's the orb that it is. So now instead of just uncommon, you get rare, and then you destroy the next one. You get, what is it called? Elite, and then the last one, you get legendary gauntlets. So the idea here is you're trying to destroy these orbs on your opponent's side. That way the loot in your base is higher level loot. That way when you die and you respawn in there, or when you travel back, you can pick up that better loot. Now, the reason why I kind of wanted it to be this way for each one of these orbs is with the recent game mode of Clash, finding loot isn't really exciting anymore. You just drop out a mana vault, or you just go straight into battle, and there's elites and legendaries being thrown around left and right. It doesn't really feel exciting to see a legendary item anymore, like it was in the BR mode or in other video games in general. So by doing this, by having people do work, to get to these items, like you're gonna have to destroy a lot of HP on the item orb in order to have high level items at your base. It just makes it a little bit more fun to actually find a rare item. So let's say Team 1 gets the entire Gauntlet Orb destroyed. Now they've got legendaries. They go back or they die and they pick up these legendaries and bring it back to this side of the field. If they die, this team can get that legendary gauntlet, whatever it is, without having destroyed their orb yet. So it does make it makes it a little like a mini economy in this game mode where you do want to pick up these items, and brings back that fun to it. The other thing that I think is cool about this game mode is it brings tactics involved. You can say, let's send 3 people over to this one and then have 6 people defend our side or something, or vice versa, whatever you want. Now, another thing that I didn't mention yet, but that's pretty important, is around these orbs, each one of them, there's a certain perimeter. No, let me use a different color, just make it something else. There's a perimeter around these ones, probably in a circle. And if you're within this perimeter on your side of the field, they'll overlap with each other a little bit like this, then you have a certain buff. So maybe you have increased 15% damage, or maybe increased whatever percent defense. That way making defending these a little bit more easy on your side. But also, if you destroy one of these orbs, which is again the objective, now there's an open vector here to get to the main tower or orb. So the idea is you're trying to get through that, and at the same time you're getting better loot for your base and helping out your entire team. And if you really wanted to, and if you're coordinating well with your team, you could just open up one of these vectors and then go straight in there and try to flurry them and win the game instantly like that. But it's going to be difficult because you have this whole area here where the enemy team is buffed, and you're missing out on high-level ruins and high-level gauntlets if you decide to go through this direction, for example. So it is tactical in the sense that you have to plan out what you want to do with your team. But at the same time, if you're just really good, you could brute force your way through. But I think what's interesting in this is the last benefit from it is that it makes getting a kill feel more rewarding and dying feel a little bit more punishing. And nobody really likes hearing that, oh, it's more punishing to die, but it makes surviving more fun and it makes getting a kill feel even better because the idea here is if you were to die, there's going to be a certain loading time before you go back to your base. I was thinking maybe 10, 15, or 20 seconds, and during that time, you just watch your teammate fight. But then finally, once you're back in there, you can, say you destroyed one ring. Now you've got rares in there. You can pick up better loot and then get back into the fight with a more rewarding kill if you were to do it, or if you destroyed an entire orb, that's also very rewarding. And it'll also be interesting because your team will have to decide what they want to go for first. Do you want gauntlets first? Do you want ruins? Because if you were to get the flight ruin, which I think is rare, if you were to get the flight ruin, now you can get back into battle a lot quicker than before, which is very advantageous. Maybe you needed better items because, items are pretty much the best thing in the game. Then you and your team will coordinate to go do that first, or gauntlets. And I think it's just very tactical. It it's more rewarding and more punishing, and it feels more exciting to pick up nice loot and to get some fun kills. So it's basically just a general idea. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything. I'm kind of just improvising, but I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts, and that's it.